dance.
Rock and roll has always been a transatlantic conversation. Britain gave us the Beatles, the Stones, Zeppelin. America fired back with Dylan, Hendrix, The Doors. But not every band made the crossing. Some of America's most powerful, era-defining groups remained cult names across the Atlantic. While at home, they sold millions, filled arenas, and influenced entire generations. This first group, numbers 15 through 11, spotlights the cult heroes and U.S. giants who never fully cracked the UK mainstream. In America, Phish are more than a band. They're a culture. Since the late 1980s, they've built a community of devoted fans who follow them from city to city, swapping bootlegs and celebrating marathon live shows where no setlist is ever the same. Phish can sell out Madison Square Garden for days in a row. They've grossed hundreds of millions without radio hits, relying instead on the sheer loyalty of their following. But in Britain, silence. Outside of hardcore jam band circles, Phish never became a household name. British rock fans, who once embraced experimental giants like Pink Floyd, largely missed Phish's improvisational brilliance. While in the States, Phish are heirs to the Grateful Dead's improvisational throne. In the UK, they remain almost invisible, a transatlantic cultural blind spot. Some are happy, some are sad. From Listen to the Music to What a Fool Believes, the Doobie Brothers became synonymous with West Coast rock. Some are happy, some are sad. I know it, baby. Their blend of guitar-driven grooves, sweet harmonies, and a touch of soul made them Grammy winners and one of the best-selling American acts of the 70s and 80s. Some are happy, some are sad. Tears out on the Wednesday night, baby. They were radio staples in the U.S., soundtracking long drives, beach nights, and suburban barbecues. But across the Atlantic, they never achieved the same level of dominance. Some are happy, some are sad. I know it. In Britain, the Doobies never landed a top 10 album. They toured, they had loyal pockets of fans, but their reputation as cultural giants never matched the sheer weight of their catalog. Some are happy, some are sad. I know it, baby. While Fleetwood Mac, a band with California ties but British roots, became iconic on both sides of the pond, the Doobies stayed largely America's band. Few debuts in rock history hit harder than Boston's 1976 self-titled album. With tracks like More Than a Feeling and Peace of Mind, it fused soaring harmonies with Tom Scholz's groundbreaking guitar engineering. In the US, it became one of the best-selling debuts of all time, shifting over 17 million copies and helping to define arena rock for a generation. Yet in Britain, the story was different. Boston's debut peaked modestly at number 11, and while critics acknowledged the band's polished sound, they never became a household name. Where U.S. audiences saw Boston as a symbol of perfectionist studio craft and radio rock dominance, British rock histories often passed them by, focusing instead on punk's raw explosion or progressive rock's complexity. Boston burned like a supernova in America, but in Britain, they flickered in the shadows. In the United States, and especially in Japan, Cheap Trick are arena rock royalty. Known for Surrender and I Want You to Want Me, they balanced power pop with hard rock, making music that was both radio-friendly and rebellious.
I'm going crazy, I'm losing sleep.
Their live album at Budokan turned them into superstars in Asia, cementing their cult status.
I'm going crazy, I'm losing sleep.
But in Britain, Cheap Trick never enjoyed the same breakout. Their biggest UK single, I Want You to Want Me, only reached number 29.
I'm going crazy, I'm losing sleep. To you.
Despite influencing bands from Def Leppard to Weezer, they were always more of a critic's favorite than a chart phenomenon in the UK.
I'm going crazy, I'm losing sleep.
Their quirky image, American humor, and theatrical stagecraft never translated as well across the Atlantic. To US fans, they're legends. To Britain, they're a footnote. With their dark imagery, twin guitars, and mysterious lyrics, Blue Oyster Cult carved out a unique corner of US rock in the 70s and 80s. Don't Fear the Reaper became a cultural touchstone, appearing in films, TV, and even parodied on Saturday Night Live. In the US, they were FM rock staples, filling arenas and inspiring legions of hard rock and metal bands. Yet in Britain, their impact was muted. They did chart here and there, but never with the same force as in America. British audiences, already spoiled with homegrown hard rock giants like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, often overlooked BC's darker, more intellectual style. While they had loyal fans, their mainstream profile never matched their stateside influence. Transition to next group. These 5 bands, Phish, the Doobie Brothers, Boston, Cheap Trick, and Blue Oyster Cult, show us how even legends can slip through the cracks of cultural exchange. In America, they filled arenas, topped charts, and shaped genres. In Britain, they were cult names at best. But the story doesn't end here. Because as we climb higher into our list, the divide between US dominance and UK neglect only grows sharper. Next, we'll uncover bands who defined entire movements in American rock, yet remained little more than whispers across the Atlantic. In the last section, we explored cult heroes and US giants who never crossed over fully to Britain's mainstream. Now we move into the heart of America's rock identity, bands who didn't just make records, but shaped entire movements. They defined the sound, the culture, and the mythology of American rock. And yet in Britain, their recognition was modest, even marginal. This is the story of 5 bands, number 10 through number 6, who left an indelible mark at home, but were underrated or sidelined across the Atlantic. Formed in the sweltering heat of Macon, Georgia, the Allman Brothers Band pioneered what became known as Southern rock. With Dwayne Allman's slide guitar and Greg Allman's soulful voice, they fused blues, jazz improvisation, and country roots into extended jams that could stretch a single song into a transcendent journey. Their live album at Fillmore East is often hailed as one of the greatest live recordings in rock history. Songs like Whipping Post and In Memory of Elizabeth Reed turned concert halls into sanctuaries of improvisation. In the US, they became icons, the bridge between blues tradition and modern rock spectacle. But in Britain, their cult following never translated into mass appeal. While British audiences embraced prog rock's instrumental flights and the blues revival, the Allman Brothers' uniquely American Southern identity didn't resonate as widely. They were admired by musicians and connoisseurs, but for the mainstream UK audience, they remained more of a niche curiosity than household names. Ask Mick Jagger, Robert Plant, or Bonnie Raitt, and they'll tell you, Little Feat were one of the tightest, funkiest, most innovative bands of the 1970s. Founded by Lowell George, they blended New Orleans funk, California rock, and deep blues into a sound that was impossible to categorize and irresistible to fellow musicians. Tracks like Dixie Chicken and Willin' showcase their mix of sly humor, southern boogie, and slick musicianship. In America, they were critical darlings and cult favorites, influencing everyone from jam bands to country rock outfits. Among musicians, they were gods. But in the UK, Little Feat's brilliance barely touched the charts. While British critics praised them, the wider public didn't latch on. Part of the problem was timing. In the 1970s, British rock culture was dominated by glam, punk, and prog. Little Feat's funky, genre-blurring style never fit neatly into those lanes. The result? Revered in rehearsal rooms and tour buses, overlooked on Britain's airwaves. No American band embodied the counterculture more than the Grateful Dead. Born out of San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury scene, they were less a band than a living experiment in community, improvisation, and freedom. Their concerts became pilgrimages, long, improvisational journeys where no song was ever played the same way twice. In the US, they built a record-breaking legacy, 59 albums on the Billboard 200, the most of any band in history. Their fans, the Deadheads, became a cultural movement, following them from city to city, creating one of the most enduring fan cultures in music. Yet in Britain, the magic of the Dead never fully took root. Their reputation for marathon live shows and improvisational risk didn't translate to a culture more accustomed to concise, album-focused statements. To British audiences, the Dead were eccentric imports, admired by some, but never embraced as icons. Their counterculture empire, so central to American rock identity, remained mostly an American phenomenon. By the early 1980s, American punk had splintered, and Hüsker stood at the crossroads. Emerging from Minneapolis, they took the ferocity of hardcore punk and infused it with melody, introspection, and songwriting sophistication. Albums like Zen Arcade and New Day Rising laid the blueprint for what would become alternative rock. Nirvana, Pixies, and countless others owed a debt to Hüsker Du's ability to turn raw aggression into emotional storytelling. In the US, they became cult heroes, college radio mainstays, critics' darlings, and the spiritual fathers of grunge. But in the UK, their chart impact was faint. Their highest album peak was just number 72. For a band that helped redefine the possibilities of punk and rock, their British recognition was shockingly low. In Britain's rock histories, Hüsker Dü often appears as a footnote, when in truth, they were architects of the next revolution. If Hüsker Dü were the architects, the replacements were the soul of US indie rock. Also hailing from Minneapolis, they embodied chaos, brilliance, and self-sabotage in equal measure. Their songs, from Bastards of Young to Can't Hardly Wait, combined punk's raw edge with vulnerable lyrics that spoke to alienation and youth rebellion. On stage, they were unpredictable, legendary for both transcendent performances and drunken meltdowns. In America, they became a symbol of underground credibility, inspiring legions of bands from Green Day to the Goo Goo Dolls. Critics adored them, musicians worshipped them, fans embraced their flaws as part of their genius. But in Britain, their chart presence was almost non-existent. Despite critical acclaim, they never cracked the UK mainstream. Their story highlights a key theme of this list. Some bands shape culture, inspire future generations, and become legends, yet never achieve the recognition they deserve overseas. Transition to next group. These 5 bands, the Allman Brothers Band, Little Feat, the Grateful Dead, Hüsker Dü, and the Replacements, represent the heart of American rock culture. They pioneered genres, inspired icons, and created movements. And yet in Britain, they remained cult names, loved by the few but ignored by the many. In our final group, we'll climb into the top 5, bands that were US supernovas, shaping stadium rock and filling arenas, but who Britain inexplicably slept on. The divide is about to get even sharper. We've explored the cult heroes, the innovators, and the cultural movements that never fully crossed the Atlantic. Now we arrive at the heavyweights, bands whose colossal success in the United States dwarfed their muted reception in Britain. These are the stadium fillers, the radio kings, the critical darlings who defined American rock culture but somehow remained underappreciated, overlooked, or misunderstood across the pond. Let's count down the top 5. When you think of Kansas, you think of soaring harmonies, twin guitar leads, and songs that have become permanent fixtures of American life. Carry On Wayward Son remains a rock radio anthem, and Dust in the Wind has crossed over into folk, film, and even pop culture references. In the United States, Kansas were arena fillers, part of the DNA of classic rock. But in Britain, their impact was surprisingly muted. While their albums charted modestly and they had a small but loyal fan base, Kansas never broke through to mainstream UK recognition.
Dust in the wind.
British audiences, already steeped in their own progressive rock giants like Yes, Genesis, and King Crimson, often overlooked Kansas as just another American import.
Curiosity. Dust.
Yet Kansas's fusion of prog complexity with arena-ready hooks carved out something unique, something that America embraced wholeheartedly, but Britain largely left behind.
I only wish I had the strength to let it show.
By the 1980s, REO Speedwagon had mastered the formula for success on American radio. Their album High Infidelity sold over 10 million copies in the US alone, powered by hits like Keep On Loving You and Take It on the Run.
I only wish I had the strength to let it show.
They became household names, dominating airwaves and epitomizing the era of soft-edged, polished arena rock. Worldwide, they sold more than 40 million albums. But in the UK, only 3 singles ever cracked the top 40.
I only wish I had the strength to let it show. I'm keeping you in sight. You're a candle in the wind.
British critics often dismissed them as formulaic, while fans leaned toward edgier new wave acts or their own native pop rock giants like Dire Straits.
I only wish I had the strength to let it show.
It's a striking contrast. In the States, REO Speedwagon were icons of romantic anthems and polished power ballads. In Britain, they remained background noise, heard faintly but rarely celebrated.
Born and raised right here in Houston. You took the midnight.
In the US, they were kings of the arena, selling millions, touring relentlessly, and becoming cultural staples. But in Britain, Journey's story is one of delay.
Born and raised right here in Houston. You took the midnight.
During their initial heyday in the late 70s and early 80s, they remained relatively under the radar in the UK, overshadowed by homegrown acts and punk's disruptive rise.
Born and raised right here in Houston. You took the midnight train.
It wasn't until 2009, decades later, that Don't Stop Believin' finally reached number 5 on the UK singles chart, thanks not to radio or tours, but to its use in the television show Glee.
Born and raised right here in Houston. You took the midnight.
By then, Journey were already legends in America, but in Britain, they were rediscovered as nostalgia, proof that sometimes it takes pop culture imports to remind audiences of what they missed the first time around. In the early 1970s, Grand Funk Railroad were unstoppable in the United States. With a raw, muscular sound that combined blues rock and hard rock energy, they became known as the People's Band. Critics sneered, but fans adored them. Their records went multi-platinum, and in 1971 they sold out Shea Stadium in New York faster than the Beatles had just 6 years earlier, drawing 55,000 fans in record time. Yet in Britain, they barely made a dent. While they had some recognition among dedicated rock fans, their populist appeal didn't resonate with the UK market. British critics largely ignored them, focusing instead on progressive rock sophistication or glam's rising theatrics. Grand Funk's blue-collar, no-frills hard rock connected deeply with American audiences, but across the Atlantic, they remained a curiosity rather than a phenomenon.
You know, bro, there's just something special about the sound of a classic rock album on vinyl. It's how these albums were originally meant to be heard, the warmth, the crackle, and the ritual of dropping the needle on the record. It's an experience that digital just can't recreate. And if you've ever wanted to dive into that classic vinyl sound, but didn't know where to start, I've got you covered. I've been checking out this Victrola Bluetooth portable suitcase turntable. It's the perfect way to get into vinyl. You just pop it open, put on a masterpiece like Led Zeppelin's 4 or Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon, and let the needle drop on that legendary groove. The best part is, it's a suitcase design, so you can literally take your rock and roll vibes anywhere. You can move it from your bedroom to the living room, or even take it to a friend's place. And it even has Bluetooth, so you can stream music from your phone when you're not spinning records. It's the best of both worlds. This is a great starting point for any fan who wants to feel the foundation of rock lore in a whole new way. If you're interested in grabbing one for yourself, I've put a link to it in the description below. Clicking that link and buying one is an awesome way to support the channel and help us keep bringing you more deep dives into the music we all love. So go check it out, and let's get back to the countdown.
At the top of this list is Big Star, perhaps the most bittersweet story of all. Formed in Memphis in the early 1970s, Big Star created some of the most perfect power pop ever recorded. Their debut, #1 record, brims with jangly guitars, lush harmonies, and aching melodies. Follow-ups like Radio City and Third/Sister Lovers pushed the boundaries even further, inspiring countless alternative and indie bands. In the US, they were largely ignored during their time, only to be rediscovered years later as icons of what could have been. Bands like REM, The Replacements, and Teenage Fanclub carried their legacy forward, turning Big Star into a name spoken with reverence among musicians. In Britain, their story was even more muted. Their albums were barely distributed, and only decades later with reissues and critical retrospectives did Big Star finally chart modestly. By then, the band was long gone, its members scattered or deceased. Yet their influence is everywhere. Big Star became the quintessential band's band, the group you may not know directly, but whose DNA runs through generations of rock music. Their lack of recognition in Britain isn't just surprising, it's a loss. The journey doesn't end here, Rock Warrior. Watch this next.